Okay, welcome everyone to our 11th of September Council meeting. Can I have any calls for apologies? No. Can I have a confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 28th of August 2025 as circulated be taken as read and confirmed? Can I have a mover, please? And a seconder, please, Scott. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Calls for declarations of interest, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Is there anyone that would like to declare an interest in any of the items on the agenda today? I'm not sure whether I have with a development application. I don't have an interest in it.
A non-pecuniary interest.
Yeah. Okay.
If in doubt, always declare.
Yep. So that please. Thank you. Not for the minutes. Okay, for the mayoral minute, I didn't write anything in my mayoral minute this time, but I just want to acknowledge in my mayoral minute, I'd like to acknowledge Councillor Mick Collins on his hard work that he's done with his roadshow. There was a lot of work went into that over the last 2 days, and getting those people to come was amazing, and there was a big crowd turned up to all of them. So I think it was pretty beneficial, and thank you, Mick, for the hard work you've done with that, and we might have a report on that after.
And without being out of line, you ran a very hostile, awkward meeting very, very well.
No, they were civil. That was the main thing. That's the message.
But it could have gone either way. It was a well-run.
It was on a borderline there for a while.
Yeah, it was well done.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to be in the audience. Cool.
And it was very satisfying. And I've actually had someone came back to me yesterday, and I rang Mick, and they had been able to get a refund, reimbursed on their bill, and then they also had NBN contact them to help them. So it was beneficial, and that's just the one person I've heard. So thanks for that. Okay, we'll move on to officers' reports. 6.1, dealing with items by exemption. Is there anyone that...
Can we look at maybe not doing that? That was a trial. Every time we have a meeting, everyone says we'll go through them all anyway. Do we look at doing them all?
Yep.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So can we have a mover that we don't have the items by exemption, that we talk about all the items that the staff have prepared each?
So the motion would be that the dealing with items by exception will be removed from future agendas.
Yep.
Okay, can I have those? A mover is Councillor Crispin, a seconder is Councillor Bishton. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
So thank you. Okay. Item 6.2, Executive Services Report on page 6.
I'd like to thank Max Escott for writing that for me. We have proofread this multiple times and totally missed that the author was Max Escott. It wasn't, it was Leah Daly, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this report. Thank you, Adrian, for pointing it out.
At 9.2.2, the councillor's activity schedule.
Yes.
I'm a little mindful that it says that I was just on leave throughout the community meetings. I wonder if we can make a reflection that I was on medical leave.
Absolutely.
And I can provide a medical certificate if need be.
No need. You don't need to.
Thank you.
Provide it. Yep. We didn't. That was a delicate one.
Yeah.
I just wanted to congratulate and thank Corey and Ben for their work with the Willoughby Exchange. It was big experience for all the kids that went. They had a ball, and Ben and Tori was went above and beyond for those kids, and they did an awesome job. So great experience.
And to take 13, this year they took 13 to Sydney.
And brought 13 back.
And it was a big thing. They do go over and above. Yeah. Any other questions? I'd just like to bring up one thing, and that's only a comment that when you read in the beginning, the Bingara CHSP was supported by 7 volunteers with 301 hours of service during August. I think that's a big thing for 7 volunteers to be able to put in that amount of time, and that's, taking people to appointments and things. I think that's something that we take for granted that happens in our shire that doesn't happen in big communities. Okay, any more on that? No. Can I have a mover and a seconder with that? Well, the officer's recommendation is that the report be received, and I'll have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Rachel and Councillor Sean. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Thank you. Item 6.3, Corporate and Community Services Report on page 12. We have Helen reading this. Any questions?
We're still trying to work out the best way to combine all of these reports into one now that the social services, the community assets and all the training also sits in the one area. So the report may continue to change a little bit. If there's anything else you want to see or you don't need to see in the report, I'm happy to take any suggestions that you may have. Susie will be sending out surveys to our local remoter areas to see what the need next year is for Tharawonga, out to Gravesend, Yetman, and those areas, because Yetman has fallen off with numbers. And I know the long day care in Warialda and Bingara, there's a waiting list in Bingara, but it's not actually used that much in Warialda. So
I think, though, that will change over time
Yes.
as children's ages change.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a bit like school bus runs. They come in swings and roundabouts. So if once those letter drops go out, if you can encourage people, to make sure that if they do have a need for that service, they do get back to Susie, because that will form a big part of what services we provide in the new year.
Yeah. I worry too that a lot of people I've spoken to in Warialda have been hesitant because they're not able to then get their children to Bingara for the other 2 days. They would need like a 5-day care locally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that we're able to provide this service at all. And I think people really appreciate that. Yes, it's been wonderful.
And it's very hard because we are running on a shoestring staff. If we have 1 or 2 people get sick, Susie almost has to close the service because we've just enough staff. Having those smaller children, the requirements of title to staff is so high that,
The funding for it is not something that would come and get
The funding for Tharawonga is going to change in 2 years. It's only been promised for another 2 years. And Susie, I know Susie is personally fearful that it will actually just stop. So we need to, the more we have these services, the more we can lobby them to say, well, these are vital services for a large number of people. So, you just never know with funding.
The changes in the children's services funding dictated that by 2027, those services like Tharawonga should be at least cost neutral or generate their own. And that's certainly not going to happen with a remote preschool. So it's very tricky. It's been a concern on the horizon quite a while.
Just want to say, well, we spoke about it before the meeting. So this morning we met with the apprentice board and all our trainees and cadets and apprentices, and there was 41 of them, wasn't there? And I think that's another big thing that White Shire can be proud of, that we're growing our own and also giving our children, but there's mature age students in that as well. So there's older people doing apprenticeships. I think we can be proud that we're actually giving them not only the job opportunity to be able to stay in the Shire, but also it's looking good for us later that hopefully we won't be short, because when they're finished, we're going to have these people with careers and be able to build with it. So, yeah, it was nice to see all those people this morning. And as I said, there was 41, I think. Yeah, so it's pretty good beat, White Shire. And, yeah. Okay, any more questions?
I just had another question about the volunteering at the tourist centre. I see the Royal is still quite low. I know a few months ago there was a discussion about having like a morning tea.
Yep.
Did that happen?
I don't think so. I will chase that up though, because Ian was talking about doing that and Graham was leading that, and since he's gone, it's probably fallen off. So I will chase that up.
Yeah, I think that's probably like people keen to do it.
Yep.
That they.
Yeah, I will chase that up for you.
That's right. Any more questions? Okay. The officer's recommendation is that the report be received. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Adrian and Rach. Those in favour say aye. Okay. The next one we move on to is item 6.4, which is technical services report on page 38. And we've got Alex.
Very happy to take any questions. You've probably all heard me talk too much about roads in the last couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah, I'd just like to say it's been a pleasure to hear you talk about roads for the last couple of weeks.
That's quite a surprising but flattering comment, thank you.
To see you in a meeting and listen to you work with the people asking questions was.
Thank you. Thank you.
The All Abilities Park is fixed, which is great. Why did it take so long to?
Which specific part of it? I know the roundabout was one of them.
Yeah, what do you call it? Whirligig thing?
The thing that spins around. It's the roundabout.
Roundabout.
Is it big as Ciron? Okay, righto.
I'll probably have to take that one on notice.
Yeah.
My understanding is playground equipment is its very own breed of construction and rules. Because everything has to have such a high factor of safety associated with it, my suspicion would be that there was a very specific part that had to be replaced rather than just the generic, we need this particular bearing from the bearing centre.
Right.
The Elcombe Road,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Was on it the other day. It's really bad, getting quite bad. Yeah.
It's not a good road, and we're aware of that. We've just accepted a quote to repair one of the causeways with an asphalt overlay, and which of the ones on the road it is doesn't spring to mind immediately. But there's a lot more to be done. The Sealed Local Roads Capital Works budget for council this year is $1.9 million. That would do about 6 to 9 kilometres of the Elcombe Road and probably have some change to spare. We've got to see how things stack up a little bit with flood damage and how much we are left kicking the can for things that the New South Wales government has decided is not flood damage. But we should be able to attack a minimum of 3 kilometres of Elcombe Road this year. Possibly as much as 9 or 12. I don't really want to commit to a figure, but it's certainly it is the road for that $1.9 million budget at present.
Yes, okay.
Question for Alex, which do you normally go for the worst bit, or do you just start at the end, or is there some sort of triage arrangement?
It is a little bit of a triage arrangement. Starting at one end and continuing is, and that's the best case scenario. When we bought our Holvey mixer, which is basically a giant rotary hoe that mills the road up and puts it back down, the Caterpillar people said, where would you like it delivered to? And we suggested that they park it at North Star, and over 5 years we just drove it back into Warrialda. So we can't really take the approach of starting at the start and working our way through. We look at things like crash history, width, the particular type of damage, and we target areas. We don't like to do areas that are any less than 500 metres in length, because there's a real efficiency scale that you get. So we like to pick a 1 to 2 kilometre section as a minimum. That would be the worst section on the road, and then build out from there.
Yeah.
It was about 2014 the peddling pollies went through the road, and there was a big upgrade. Maybe they can do that.
Coincidence, eh?
Those crossings out on the North Star Road that needs asphalting, is that likely to get done?
That was approved in the same quotation as the Causeway and Elkham Road I was just talking about. So we received the quotation, the contractors have been to site. It's been approved. We're just waiting on the contractors to turn up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's leading up to harvest.
Yeah. And there's also, that's a plastic pipe without a whole lot of cover on it, so we don't want to lose what we've done in there either.
And the truck wash, how's that faring?
The truck wash is still closed. The smell has persisted, and it's my expectation that I'm probably going to have to face a few curly questions about it at tonight's community meeting. We've taken a lot of steps to improve the wastewater we're dealing with. The aerator in itself should have taken things from an anaerobic state to an aerobic state, so you've got oxygen there that can allow the microorganisms to do their thing and make better water. There's been 2 pallets of lime gone in there, more than 5 drums of a specialist odour treatment for that particular kind of smell. What we're working on at present, we have the design and our staff, if you were to drive past, you'd see that there is a bit of work going on at present. We're setting up a little bit of a DIY clarifier, which will suck wastewater from one corner of the pond that has the odour issues, circulate it to the opposing corner and inject a coagulant as it goes. That's intended to flock the particles together so they're heavier, and they just should aid in settling. I really hope that we would be on top of it by now. I hope we've been on top of it a few weeks ago. We do have the good fortune of the pond closest to the creek being almost completely empty. So it's ready for a sludge removal as soon as we can get a machine in there to deal with it. I think that the council may have to make a decision at the next meeting, or leave, delegate the authority to the appropriate staff to potentially continue the closure for a fortnight or more.
Did we say end of September?
22nd of September was when we said we'd open it, so 11 days from today. I do drive past it every day, twice, and the odour does seem to be less now than it has been, but the direction of the wind has such a huge impact on it. If we had a westerly wind the entire time this problem had existed, there would be a single complaint. But when we cop an easterly and it blows it straight back into town, I know from speaking with staff and members of the community that it can travel a long way. I don't think that we can put the needs of the trucking industry, as noisy as they can be, although they've been pretty decent so far with this closure. I don't think we can put their needs ahead of the amenity of Warialda, so we may just have to forego a small amount of income and inconvenience the trucking sector a little bit further if we don't have a suitable coagulant dosing system established at the truck wash itself by the 22nd. Most of the pipe work's been in, everything's been designed, the guys are working on it as we speak, but I'd really like to have some tests of a few test washdowns run through with the coagulant dosing. The idea is,
and that's going to be an ongoing.
Yes, it
way
is. So
in which, yeah.
So every time a hose gets turned on the washdown ramps, then a spray bar with coagulant will start dosing the channel where the wastewater comes into the solid separator. What that should do, all things working well, is capture a lot more solids at the truck wash itself and send cleaner water to the ponds. It's the solids that are the problem that are causing the odour. That's that one in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to, this evening at the community meeting, admit that the issue is not an acceptable one. It's one we've been working on, but to have the smell that has been at its worst, it was pretty bloody bad. You didn't need to wind down your window driving past to catch a whiff of it. So I think that I'm happy to say that it was a mistake of the department that I manage, and we're doing our best to address it. And I think we should make the commitment that until we are confident that the problem won't reoccur, the truck wash won't reopen.
Yeah, I think, and as long as you have processes in place to ensure it's not going to happen too much in the future as well. You know, if you're changing the way that it operates, people will be happy.
Yeah.
If you're learning from your mistakes, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old thing. If you keep doing what you've always done, you keep getting what you always got. We have to change something, and this coagulant dosing, should be the solution. If it's not, then I think the course of action would be to gradually increase prices, or perhaps even aggressively increase prices, until we're still receiving the same amount of income and less trucks are using the facility.
Yet every night people camp there.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they're old truckies.
I won't use that as an attempt to appease any angry resident, Councillor Collins, but you're quite right. You could have 6 RVs and a couple of caravans right next to those ponds, and I noticed driving past them twice a day, they're not just there for one night.
No, they're multiple. Is there any different question in regards to that? Is there any land we own near the truck wash that potentially could be sold for business?
Yes. We own all of the former sale yard site, and as part of the compulsory acquisition for the bypass land, which we received an invoice for yesterday, so after 5 or 8 years, we've actually got the bill to pay to have the land transferred to us. There is a parcel of land on the eastern side of the bypass adjacent to the truck wash.
And I've been asked by a few different people if that's a possibility. I think there's people interested in actually buying a block there and putting something up.
Yep.
In terms of a roadhouse or some sort of facility. The other day there were 6B doubles parked there, just all standing out there having a yarn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's
a smart option.
And that's been discussed before. It'd be an ideal opportunity.
Yeah, so maybe it's worth looking at if we own it and it's no use to anything else.
We're nearly at that point.
Yeah, very close. The other thing I wanted to mention, which is not in the report because the information only came through about 2 hours ago, is that the New South Wales government has handed down the recommendations from its inquiry into PFAS, which the Mayor and I gave evidence to. There's a recommendation that I think has the potential to cause a degree of hysteria in the community, and it's very important that the message that we put out is factual, and that's that the New South Wales government, I'll read the recommendation in whole, that the New South Wales government support PFAS blood testing for willing participants in Parramatta, Warialda, Narrabri and Dubbo, and then it goes on, lists a whole bunch of other places in close collaboration with local councils. I don't think that the intent of that testing is to find dangerous levels of PFAS in people. By measuring the amount of PFAS somebody has in their system and knowing the concentration of PFAS in water that they've been consuming, and we should know those two things if somebody was to do a blood test, or the community as a whole was, you can actually work backwards and you can say, okay, so it might have been about 1995 that there was some PFAS contamination. That potentially leads to a smoking gun that says the source of contamination was this event, and I could only postulate what that is, but it's probably New South Wales Fire and Rescue or the RFS doing something. The other thing that this blood testing could do, if it eventuates, and it is just a recommendation from a parliamentary inquiry, but we need to be on the front foot because the news channels have already got a hold of it and have approached the Mayor. The other thing it could do is just give people a sense of relief. I've had PFAS in my water, my blood has been tested and the levels have been shown to be safe. I think there's 4 different types of PFAS and I can't list them all, but the carcinogenic one, PFOA, has never been in an unsafe level in council's water supply. And when we go back to talking about health implications, I think that's a really, really important point to drive home. And that particular strain of PFAS is only related to testicular cancer, I think pancreatic and kidney. So the more common run-of-the-mill ones that we see increased frequency, there is no correlation between PFAS and them. And even if there was, we haven't measured that level of PFAS, that PFOA. We haven't measured levels of that are in excess of the even the revised Australian Drinking Water Guidelines, which have set much stricter levels on PFAS. And also, the water we've been supplying since, I think it was Christmas Eve or something very, very close to it last year, it's been PFAS-free. We are consistently testing. It's either fortnightly or weekly, and the results have always been an undetectable amount of PFAS coming out of our bores.
Could people not be getting consuming PFAS
In other
through
ways.
other?
They absolutely could be.
Yeah.
So it's a bit hard to say that it's just from the Warialda water supply.
It is. I think, unfortunately, people are going to draw the conclusion that it is.
Didn't they say in the plastic bottles and things like that when we first started, and clothes?
One of the big ones, and we might see this being a rural area where people are on tank water, impellers and pumps are Teflon coated. Teflon is very, very high in PFAS, and one of the...
No, I'm not out of it. I'm not out of it yet.
Potentially not, but that's something that we don't have any control over. But I think that this recommendation is out there. People may draw the incorrect conclusion that the New South Wales government is recommending that people get blood tests because there's an immediate health danger. We need to remember that when we first found PFAS in our system, New South Wales Health's advice to the whole Warialda community was keep drinking it.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable drinking it, we'll give you bottled water, but keep drinking it because in the short term we don't see any negative health implications.
And they originally told us, because I remember this blood test came up Christmas Eve, and somebody had phoned us and said that that's what happened. And New South Wales Health said there was no test they could do, remember? So things have obviously changed because we did look into this before because somebody was saying around Warialda that we all need to go and get blood testing, and we actually rang New South Wales Health and there was nothing that they could do. So, yeah.
So do we offer people the blood test, or is
We can't do it, and it could only be a direction of New South Wales Health. And in fact, all of this had actually been a New South Wales Health initiative. The testing was following the discovery of it in the Blue Mountains. New South Wales Health took the initiative to approach every municipal water supplier in New South Wales and say, we'll give you free PFAS testing if you want it. And I think about 85 or so of the 120 took up the offer. We were one of them. We found it. And from then, basically New South Wales Health ran the show, didn't they? It was our job to work out how we could take the water supply that we had and the bores that we had that weren't contaminated with PFAS and redirect things to get PFAS-free water. And we've been fortunate that we can do that because a lot of councils haven't been able to do that. That was our part, but the rest of it is a public health issue. And that's why New South Wales Health has taken the lead on it. And another important thing that flows on from that is that if there is contamination, it was by a state government department.
Yeah.
It's Fire and Rescue or RFS. They're the two most likely candidates.
And the other thing is we can't just offer blood tests. You have to go to the doctor to have a doctor's appointment to get a pathology request to have a blood test too. So it's a big drawn out.
Out of curiosity though, if the media have got a hold on this parliamentary recommendation,
which they have because they already have the phone call.
It's us that are going to be the doormat for the state government. So what is our response if we start? Well, you've obviously already been contacted by the media.
Yeah.
Yeah. What sort of response do we?
Well, that's what we're just trying to work out because we only found out like half an hour before the meeting what.
We were discussing that we would put together a statement that addresses that recommendation. Once that's done, sorry, Leo.
That's fine.
Yep. When we have a statement that firms up council's position, which will be, I think, consistent with what we've just discussed, we'll spread that around to the council. So if you are contacted, you have the official line and also the correct information.
Yeah, and we didn't even finish the conversation because we were waiting for General Manager to come back to be able to be in it and say what we should do.
But we'll have that prepared for tonight's meeting.
Yep.
New South Wales Health's responsibility anyway. We're not health.
Yeah.
We're not legally obliged or able to do anything like that.
And one of the interesting things out of that is that PFAS has not, and I still think it is not, one of the indicators for clean drinking water that is a mandated test from New South Wales Health. So they've never considered it important enough that you should regularly test your water for PFAS until we found PFAS.
Any more questions? We did have, while we're on to roads and things like that, we had a disability meeting this morning, which we're getting lots of things marked off our list with that, aren't we? Mm-hmm. So we talked about disability parking. So in Bingara, we now have 3 new ones. So we have 2 in front of IGA and then a long one at the side in Cunningham Street, and there's been new ramps made there too. And then we have the disability access in Cunningham Street to the toilets, the BWO public toilet access then. And we have the 2 or 3 at the front of the HAC office, and then Alex is working with his team next week to see where they will go out the front of the new council chambers. And then we discussed Warialda's with the disability meeting this morning, and they're going to be made wider and remarked as well. So we've got 3 in the new park. 2 in the new park. We're going to have 1 out the front of the chemist.
Yes, correct. one across the road, police station,
And then the
there's existing one, newsagents and IGA.
on IGA. So if anyone asks you, all the disability parking will be always nearly updating, which has been really good for our disability meeting because it's sort of, we're crossing things off that. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, the officer's recommendation is that the report be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Scott and John. Those in favour say aye. Thank you. Okay, we move on to item 6.5, the business and strategy report on page 48. And we have Justin to talk about that and take any questions for that.
It's not really that exciting this time around. I don't need to really tell you anything. So, is there any question?
Are you still using Wakefield,
Yes,
the DA people?
we are. Yes.
No, I'm just curious. So that's going all right for now.
Talk to that in confidential.
What's that?
I'll talk to that one in confidential.
Oh, that's right. Shut up, John.
Potential subdivision up near the high school, Warrialda. Queensland High School, yeah, it's still a fair way off. I had some people ask me, visitors the other night at the club, after if we have any blocks for sale, are interested in buying them.
SMK did some work up there last week. I'm just waiting for them to send me through the report with that. We've got to do in timelines then. So, yeah, almost got some form of pathway there.
Are there any left from Bingara? I should have told them to go and have a look down there.
Don't know either. Don't think so.
Down that street. There's none. They were gone really quickly, actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The watch this space. I'm hoping the three that are already subdivided will be ready to go immediately. I'll wait until I get the report back from the okay. They've given me no indication about it whatsoever, just that it's coming.
Very good.
Okay, any more questions on that? And I see, the officer's recommendation is that the report be received. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Rach and Sarah. Thank you. Those in favour say aye. Thank you. And now moving on to item 6.6, Council's investment report, and we have Helen Thomas to take questions on that.
That's the standard monthly report on where we are sitting financially at the end of the month. So if you have any questions, I can answer them. We are in the throes of orders at the moment. They're on site tomorrow afternoon.
See the little cars parked out for. Where are they camped?
They always stay down at the bottom pub in the motel rooms there.
Any questions? Okay, the officer's recommendation is that the August 2025 monthly investment and rates collection report be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Dixon and Councillor Christian. Those in favour say aye. Now we move on to item 6.7, which is NIAS new centralised governance model.
That was just provided to you for information. We had a visit from the NIAS representative. They are looking for stronger partnerships in the future with council, so we can expect some more correspondence on that front.
Do we have many kids that utilise nights?
There has been over the years, but there wasn't, she couldn't.
There wasn't in this slot, but there's been quite a few over the years, yeah. Okay, and the officer's recommendation is that the information be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Scott and Adrian. Those in favour say aye. Thank you. Okay, now we move on to item 6.8, which is the draft 30th of June 2025 financial statements on page 76. And we have Helen to go through that with us.
So every year council has to approve the statements to be submitted to the OLG. And with the timing of statements and council meetings and everything else, it's always a tricky balance to get them approved by council and then be able to submit them when they're done. So this is a draft copy. If there's any major material differences between what you've been presented today and the final version, it will have to come back to council. I'm confident that there won't be any changes to that. So if they are adopted today, that means that as soon as we get sign off by the auditors, we can actually get them lodged with the OLG. If they don't get adopted today, that would mean we would have to wait until the 30th of October for the next council meeting. We'd have a day to get it lodged with the OLG. So if you're happy to go through, I can answer any broad questions that you've got. If there's anything in particular that's a detailed driven answer, I will have to get back to you because this is all at the very top level of council's entire consolidated transactions, and there's a few of them. So you've got the income statement as our main statement that we have every year. It has changed. For a bit of history, if you don't know, originally council had to just engage an independent audit company to audit council's books for every 5-year term that they were. 7 years ago, the audit office got involved and took that over. So now the audit office directly manages all of the audits of councils. The big councils where there's big money to be generated, they do themselves. For smaller councils like us and Narrabri and those, we get given a team for the 5-year group. So we've been lucky enough to have Forsyths now for a fairly long time, which gives us good continuity. And we've still got another, it's only just been re-awarded, so we've still got another 4 years with them after this year. So audit fees have significantly increased in the last 12 years from, I think when I first started, it was about $30,000 a year to get audited. We're up to over $80,000 a year now to present this document and get it lodged with the audit office. Yeah.
And the hours, if we were to cost the hours that go into it, it would be horrendous, but it's necessary.
Unfortunately. And so with the introduction of the audit office, when they first came in, they made a lot of changes that made things much bigger and broader and more difficult. Now they've realised that has made things, these documents and that work have got to a point where they were pretty much a lot of numbers but didn't mean a lot because of all the background changes you could make. So they are now whittling that back and trying to make them more in line with Queensland, where it's very basic, simple to understand documents, and that's what this should be, so that the community can look at and go, yep, we're good, or no, we're not. At the moment, we've got a 100-page document with a lot of different figures, and you can kind of make it what you want it to be. So back income statement just shows you all our operating income and expenditure for the year. One of the biggest changes was depreciation used to sit up in the expenses. They've now done us a supposed favour by putting it down the bottom. So our first bottom line looks really good. Then when you add in the $10.5 million of depreciation, it takes a good chunk of that profit away. But we are still sitting at a $7 million profit for the year.
Well done. And managed a 6.2 increase in employee benefits and on costs.
Yes.
And that's above the original budget.
Yeah, and I mean, even the original budget's a tricky one. Those figures are coming from March, the previous year.
Yeah, okay.
So that was previous council. Yes, a lot does happen just between March and June.
Yeah.
Like
1 March and June, a whole year apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we do have to include them. They don't get audited.
So the left-hand side doesn't.
No, they're not audited.
Just for show.
Yes.
Right.
And unfortunately, like I said, when you're adopting those original figures and putting them together in March, you really have no idea what to me, that figure should be our March quarterly review prior to the June of that year and go, well, that's what the council adopted. How close were we to the last budget adjustment to what we finished up for the year? But that's where it sits at the moment.
So looking at that front page, is there anything that you, if you were looking at it, go, I wish we could do that better, or could improve that, or that could look a bit better?
Not at the moment. This is going to become a very tricky front page once all you can see how much grant funding we still are receiving. Like you're looking at $38 million in operating and capital grants for the year. So operating grants, most of them will continue, but that capital grant is going to totally die off in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And with that, we will have to see that employee benefits drop, but materials and services will also drop. Like capital works involves a lot of capital materials. So next couple of years will be tricky when that funding does start to drop.
And going forward.
Yeah. And as you'll see, depreciation hasn't increased too much this year, but as you'll see in note C17, our roads has significantly increased in value. So once we add another 12 months depreciation on roads, that will increase next financial year. Then you've got the statement of financial position on page 7 is just our balance sheet. You wouldn't have, if we could sell road, we wouldn't have an issue because we have a lot of assets.
I'd have an issue. Which one's that? The statement of financial position?
Yeah, that's your balance sheet.
The 3.469 million, that's the employee provisions like super and long service leave.
Where are you looking at?
Liabilities, current employee benefit provisions, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
you make that $1 million as for in the other statement. It's just to allow to cover it. This is the actual amount.
Yes, that's how much we owe all up in long service leave, annual leave, RDOs, time in lieu, all of that. But we don't have to hold that as a full cash restriction. We don't actually, legally, we don't have to hold anything. We hold $1 million so that we know we've got enough cash if anything went drastically wrong. But
so people like Max and Coop, were they after the 30th of
no,
June?
they were both included in this figure.
They haven't been paid out yet.
No.
Then, I suppose.
They're big numbers.
And we do have a lot of long-standing staff, so that's why that figure is so big. When you have people here for a long time, they are also genuinely valuable employees that don't like to take leave either. So we have a constant battle, and Alex and Justin and Leah will tell you that I harp on about it, and we send letters out, don't we? Mm-hmm. Trying to get people to take leave because there's people not very good at it.
Unfortunately, if we were to force, we wouldn't have any grader drivers or senior managers or, it's very tricky. So we're doing it in waves, and it's been particularly tricky with the raining down of grant funding that we've had. We need jobs done, and we sent out the letters from HR saying you must take your leave, and then they go to Alex and
we need you for this job.
Yeah, just let me deal with that is probably often the
look, it is tricky, but I think that it's better to have a slightly elevated figure in the financial statements and an increased liability than have graders parked at the depot for long periods of time and rural ratepayers driving past wondering why they're not moving.
Unfortunately, it's just something that our auditor fixates on every year, and it's always in the performance report.
And we send the letters out, and we are managing it as best we can, but at this point in time, that number's not going to go down anytime soon. It will be because we actually have those long-serving employees retire and they'll be paid out that leave.
Yeah, you'll have a couple.
Yeah.
Just to give you another example, I had someone knock on my door at home last night. I haven't had a chance to talk to Alex about. He wants to take. He's a grader driver. He wants to take his excess leave for harvest, but we cannot spare grader drivers at this point in time. So, it was really weird that they knocked on my door and had that conversation. But
getting the person, I'm not surprised.
Never stopped.
So it's a joke. Yeah, we try
We do. And we have been successful. You'll see the long service leave has dropped and we have got staff to take some of their long service leave. But we're doing what we can. It's just a balance, like with everything. Trying to keep the wheels moving and the money that needs to be spent to be spent.
And the other thing I remember we spoke about early in my council time, that we passed, that if we have a lot of people, in some businesses you'll find someone will have a runny nose and they'll want the day off, or that we have a lot of people that don't get sick and don't take, so at the end of their term they're rewarded because you don't get, as you know, when you finish you don't get your sick leave paid out, but they're rewarded in some way. I don't know, they work that out because
it's a policy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a policy that we've passed to reward these people that are dedicated to their jobs.
What do they get?
8 weeks, but if they've got over 1,000 hours, which isn't much really.
So, okay, but if you're under 1,000 hours?
Nothing.
No.
And really, prior to that policy, there was no way that we're not rewarding people with loyalty and some people have the misfortune of getting illnesses and other things, but people that turn up for work every day and toil through, they were leaving the organisation with no reward for their long sick leave balances. So it was a policy brought in to address that, and 8 weeks in the scale of things is much.
That's it's 30% of what they would have got if they took all their sick leave.
Yes.
Well, a lot of the people that are over 1,000 hours are actually like 100 or 200 hours over their 1,000 hours. Like you have people that did that 700-800 hours, and then you've got others that are sitting. We've got one staff member that had 1,500 hours of sick leave. So
it also dealt with the issue. We used to have people that came to us that would go to the local doctors and get signed off as unwell, and it would drag on while they used up their sick leave. So now with this policy where we can give them a lump sum, they break ties quickly, so they then can replace them. Like to replace someone that's going to take their 1,100 hours sick leave over, it's just been a nightmare. So that's really helped with that as well. Worked well.
So if you want to move into the meaty part, page 12 is just the wordy stuff of how we prepare the statements, it's all just the policy that goes behind all the different accounting standards and GST and stuff. Then we move into note B, which breaks council down into the different functions and activities of council.
Is engineering in there or is that economic?
So engineering, yeah, a lot of our areas have are split across the different groups.
Is that frustrating?
You have to prepare
The
that.
last one we do.
Is
I
it?
have a very big spreadsheet that works that one out for me.
You have to do it that way, or someone wants it done that way.
What this is exactly how it has to be reported. There's the only flexibility you've got is the notes that are non-compulsory, and the amount of work that goes into the compulsory notes. Council doesn't complete any non-compulsory notes.
And I rabbit on about the importance of our strategic documents. This page in particular, where it breaks things into social, economic, environment, civic leadership and governance, are the categories that we have in our strategic planning documents. So that would be the reason behind that, the reporting. So that's how they're all intertwined and linked. But I could imagine that logistically it would be a nightmare to pluck things out of where they go.
They have their percentages. And then going through our sources of income, you've got our rates and annual charges, user charges and fees, other revenue.
How come the sewer went up so much? Sorry, sewer charges.
So that would have been last financial year was when all of the
Pressure sewer on
north
there.
side got done.
Bingo.
You know how
Yeah, no, I'm looking on your income. Isn't that an increase in charges, sewer services?
Yeah, so they're all on, like, they've all been
They all
charged.
paid, got charged to pay.
When we put the sewer over to the
Yeah, that's huge.
other side of the bridge, remember, John?
Yeah.
Private works, section 67, is that doing works for other?
I'll have to see what.
That's huge.
Yeah, that would have been the work we did for Moree Plains on the Oklahoma Road.
I don't know.
There is a reason behind it.
I Googled what section 67 was.
Did you get an answer?
Yeah, it talked about charges for things that people did.
New Area 52.
Yeah, the Constitution.
Other revenues, all our grants broken down into operating and capital. Developer contributions. And then with the changes in accounting standards, we then go into the unspent grants and contributions. When you've been through them, if you've got any questions, just shoot them through to me and I can. We've looked at them so many times. I can't really give you an answer off the top of my head because I've got too many different numbers at the moment. Other income, and then you get on to B3, which is all our expenditure. Yeah, employees, materials, borrowing, depreciation, other expenses. And then you go to the material budget variations, which, as I said to Rachel before, is a tricky one because those figures are from so earlier on in the piece, but we do report on all of them.
Do you mind calling out page numbers when you?
32, I think, aren't we? Are we 32?
Just tell me to slide out. If there's anything specific you want to look at, just.
The pace is fine. I'm just not catching the page.
I don't want to completely bore you because there's a lot of stuff.
Page 32.
Page 31, ma'am. You've got user charges and fees. The budget was 3.5 million, but we end up at 8.5 million.
Yeah, so I would imagine there's stuff that's gone in there that we didn't originally budget for. I will have a look for you and let you know what the original budget was based on.
Have you done the budgets like for next year's rates? Like I know the rates this year were up a bit, but obviously, has there been a valuation and a rate hike this year?
There was that. So we had the VG did we only get the rate cap on our total rates.
So the rates can only, the amount that the council gets in rates can only go up by the rate cap. Because that it's varied across ratepayers differently. Is that correct?
Yes, spot on. And it was 4.3%.
Like a 3-year-old.
So yeah, like all stated values went up like 20 or 30%. What's the cap they can put your residential rates up? Like not much.
Well, it's based on our ad valorem. So we get the bucket of money and we can divvy that up against our ratepayers however we like.
Yeah, like
so. And because we've had the issue with Warriata Rail and Gravesend this year because a lot of their land values tripled. We're doing a full rates recategorisation this year. That as soon as we get through statements, we start doing the maths behind how we can get more parity between those smaller villages to town. At the moment, it's broken down into 80% farmland, 16% residential, 4% business.
So the villages are residential?
Yes, but they're residential village. So they have a different ad valorem to our Fingara Morialda. So we've got to it's a matter of determining whether we add more categories in to make it easier that way, or we actually reduce some of our categories so that when there are changes in valuations, it's absorbed by a much higher amount of properties. So the impact is a lot less.
Where did I say it was the dollar figures for the rates? It was in here somewhere, wasn't it? Like how much from residential compared to rural?
Yeah, so that's in B21 on page 17.
17.
Yeah.
1.46 in residential and 7.3 on the business.
Yeah, land complexity.
So I don't think we want to be messing around with the 80, 16 and 4% change. It will be those categories. So if you want to turn to page 40, which is the infrastructure, property, plant and equipment page, it's a lot of numbers. That just goes through all of the assets we held at the 30th of June 2024 right through to June 2025. That's where any new assets come through, any impairment gets done, the depreciation is done, our transfers to WIP, which is works in progress. So you'll see for our roads, the net carrying amount at the end of 2024 was 210. With the revaluation that was done for roads this year, with all the extra work we've done, they're now valued at $243 million.
Bulk earthworks, that's also gone up ahead from 107 to 179. What bulk earthworks?
Yeah, okay. So that your bulk earthworks is your first stage of roadworks, cutting table drains and building a formation. It in itself didn't become more expensive, but we were able to recognise via advice from the Grants Commission formed tracks on paper roads, so on council road reserves. If there was a track that a vehicle could drive down, it's within the legislation for us to put that on our books as a road. And if we expand our road network on paper, then what we receive from the financial assistance grant and roads to recovery is more. So that increase is just recognising the value of those unformed tracks, or those formed tracks on council road reserves.
On my farm road.
Yeah, we've got some unformed tracks.
Then we go through, so from page 44, we move on to what bigger councils do a lot of is the leasing of things, which we don't have any material amounts for. All of council liabilities that are current and contracted liabilities. So the accounting standards changed a few years ago, so we have to recognise any grants or contributions if we've received them during the year and we haven't spent the money that we've received. We now have to transfer that out of income into a liability at 30th of June, and then on the 1st of July we reverse that and put it back in as income. So you do see fluctuations in our income for grants and stuff because we have to almost double recognise, because we recognise it when it comes in, but if we haven't spent it by the end of the year, it goes out and then it comes back in to be spent on the 1st of July. And then you've got all our borrowings, the employee provisions. You'll see there, John, that's about $3.5 million is how it's split. That's page 51, Alan.
Full details. Yeah. We're running out of steam by this point.
You should be the last one to run out of steam.
You don't even keep the 80. How did borrowing costs? Why were they up?
We borrowed for the building.
Yes.
Our provisions, and then it just breaks it down into the results by fund, and it gets very wordy after that about risks, credit risk, liquidity risk. Our valuation, we have to have position papers on all of the different notes that we've got on what valuation techniques we use. So you'll see there on page 62, a lot of them are just at cost price, but then you've got land at market value, buildings at market value, all of our contingencies, which a lot of that is just our superannuation defined schemes that we've got. That page 66, so that AMP, so the forms you sign today show if there's anything in there where you've ticked yes that you have family or anything like that, that's where that flows through number wise. And the directors broken up into short-term, post-term and other long-term benefits. The councillor and mayoral fees
Ooh, what's that?
get reported every year. That's paid 67.
Why is the mayoral fee so much less?
Only one person.
I think.
I think,
Those are combined.
yeah, because
Last year.
Oh, between you.
yeah, between the 2 years, I'd imagine some of the councillor fees have got, because they've significantly increased. I'd say some of the mayoral fees have gone into the councillor fees there.
Cost less.
That's for a while.
Start on some gender rant, but anyway.
No, definitely not. And those other councillor expenses are just higher because we had to change over and events and stuff.
Dinners.
And then you'll see audit fees. I'd lie. I said $80,000. I'm even behind that. It was $112,000 last year. And I'll find you an old one that shows you how much it was 10 or 12 years ago. And it's only going to go up every year.
Told what they can charge, or they just keep tapping it up?
They don't get told. It has to be fair, and there have been councils that have lobbied IPART to become part of it to make sure they don't keep. They're just increasing their fees. It's a fee for service, unfortunately.
So you can't negotiate that at all.
No, absolutely not. So our contractors negotiate with the audit office. So the audit office puts groups of councils together and puts that out to tender. And then, like Forsyth, they tender for that group of councils and say what they'll charge for that. And then they either get accepted or rejected.
So hang on.
That's for 5 years.
Audit office negotiate.
With the
So
contractors.
they don't pay anything, so they don't care what it costs. So they can negotiate what they want, but you have to pay.
And so we don't pay the contractor, we pay the audit office. So all our bills come from the audit office.
So they add the cream.
They know each other.
The same auditors that do
They go
what,
out for lunch.
yeah. And so then the contractors bill the audit office and then the audit office bills us.
Yeah, but it's still.
Yeah.
Hard to understand.
No, I
No,
understand.
I mean how it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hard to accept. Is that-
Yes. Hard to accept.
Well, there should be
Yeah,
some
that's
sort
all.
of mapping. Everyone else is.
If you don't have any part in paying for it, why would you negotiate a better fee?
No, and unfortunately, the extra work that has come from having a middleman in it all, because they can't actually
Yeah.
help us either. If we've got questions or want to fight anything, we're fighting the audit office. And so the contractors are on site at the moment, they do their audit, they get happy with that, they send it to the audit office, then they do their own check again, then they come back to Forsyth and say, oh, we don't agree with this, whatever. So then they come back to us, and then we have to go back up that chain each time.
So the talk of reforms at the state government, like, Ron Honig has been discussing this. Some of the changes in the accounting is going to be beneficial.
We
Does
hope so.
any of that come under?
It will. They're trying to seriously reduce this because I'm sure the Queensland financial statements are only about 60 pages long. They're almost just over half of what we've got to prepare. So if we can get somewhere to that, it'd be lovely.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much the crux of it. Then you go into the funds all split out and our special purpose reports, which is just our permissible income, which is what our rates, the permissible income is how much you're allowed to generate for rates each year. And the infrastructure report on all the assets that we hold and what maintenance we've got. Ballpark issues in it, Alex.
Matrix budget, I believe, is the
Ballpark.
And can someone please honour Max and talk about how appreciation's just a book?
No, that's it.
But someone has to,
It's just a journal.
yeah.
We was-
Look into he will say every year.
He had us bamboozled.
Oh, and unfortunately, unlike private enterprise, people like to see depreciation on their books because it makes things much easier. For us, it's the opposite. It's just cutting into our bottom line, and our bottom line is what we're getting judged on when they're comparing apples and oranges. And, you know, these big places that don't have roads, they don't have their road crews, they don't have plant, they don't have equipment, they don't have the depreciation that we've got.
Oh.
So,
Well, people are always very interested in Nauru, and it was a good result this year. So good luck. Someone to ask the question.
I just noticed that actually.
Thank you. Was that Nauru? Yeah. Thank
Can
you.
I ask what page, please?
Oh, no, exactly.
For an organisation that is notoriously known to dominate money, being aged care, no reason special.
It's done extremely well because years ago, like when I first came on council, it was costing us so much money, and now
What's changed?
To be honest, management, but also the Royal Commission into aged care changed the way that smaller entities were funded, but also created issues like 24/7 RN care, and so it's been a balancing act. But the way that aged care is funded for smaller centres has been a change. And the fact that we never have an empty bed, we have a great manager. There's 12 people on our waiting list at the moment. And we've expanded and made the best opportunity of income streams as they've been presented.
previously there was times where there was just beds empty for a long time, wasn't there?
It's not going to happen.
Are there a lot of people that buy in?
We don't have a huge amount of bond payers. We currently hold, I think, we have had a few come in, but because they're coming in and people are leaving, we're refunding them as well. So Sharon tries very hard to make sure we do have bond paying people in there. It just doesn't always work.
Pretty much reflective of this social status of our community. Right. And it's, you try not to be discriminatory, but the bond paying people.
What is the price of bond? Is it
she's the maximum we charge. Yes. Doesn't always have to be that, but yeah, I know a lot of bigger places are much, much greater than that. We set ours at $290.
And that bond has to stay as it is when they go in. So there's changes coming in November where council will be able to, the provider will be able to retain 2% of that bond for operational.
Oh, right.
So that will make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit of passive income.
We are getting our very first imported RN will start in a couple of weeks. She's coming from the Philippines. Her name is Nellie, and she is coming with her family. Very exciting for
RN,
registered nurse, yeah, to work at Nauru. Very good.
over at Uralla there on the weekend at McMaw Gardens there, full of Nepalese.
Yeah, right.
Much to my father's delight.
So housing for the RM?
We kept a low-income house, what we traditionally called low-income houses. We have 3. We kept one for her, which is near the Royal Hotel.
That should be my neighbour.
Yeah, and she'll be delightful. Her name's Nellie, and she's got 2 little children. And
Miss having our former neighbour.
Lanita?
Yes.
Yeah. Be equally as lovely, I'm sure. And yeah, she gets in to the country one day and starts at Nauru the next.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. Should I wait till we break, or is it?
Too late now, mate.
You just do what makes you happy, John. Do whatever makes you happy.
I'm on my medication. It's still
Thank you so much.
double dose of retinol.
So if you would like to accept those statements in draft form, that would be sensational.
I'd sign them if I was an official member, but I moved it.
Thanks, John.
Okay, so the officer's recommendation is that the report be received. Further that in relation to the report, certification of the 2024-2025 annual financial reports for the period ending 30th of June 2025 Council. 1, resolve to present the audited general purpose and special purpose financial reports together with the auditor's reports at a public meeting to be held as part of the Council's meeting on either the 27th of November 2025 or 18th of December 2025 in accordance with Section 419(1) of the Local Government Act 1993. 2, record an opinion of the Council's pursuant to Section 413(2)(c) of the Local Government Act 1993, New South Wales, as amended, that the general purpose financial reports for Whydah Shire Council for the period ending 30th of June 2025 A, have been prepared in accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 as amended and regulations made hereafter, the Australian Accounting Standards and Professional Pronouncements and the Local Government Code of Accounting Practice and Financial Reporting. B, the general purpose financial report presents fairly the Council's operating result and financial position of the year. C, the general purpose financial report accords with the Council's accounting and other records. And D, the signatories are not aware of anything that would make the general purpose financial report false or misleading in any way. 3, record an opinion of the Council pursuant to the Local Government Code of Accounting Practice and Financial Reporting that the special purpose financial reports for Whydah Shire Council for the period ending June 30, 2024. A, have been prepared in accordance with the New South Wales Government Policies and application of National Competition Policy to local government, the Division of Local Government Guidelines, Pricing and Costing for Council Businesses, a Guide to Competitive Neutrality, the Local Government Code of Accounting Practice and Financial Reporting, and B, the special purpose financial reports present fairly the operating result and financial position for each of the Council's declared business activities of the year. C, the special purpose financial reports accord to the Council's accounting and other records. And D, the signatories are not aware of anything that would make the special purpose financial reports false or misleading in any way. Further, that the reports be authorised for issues. Could I please have a mover and a seconder?
We couldn't quite hear you up.
Clarify.
Councillor Coleman and Councillor.
Remember, you've been recorded.
Sorry. Those in favour say aye. Thank you. Now we'll move on to Councillor's report, and we will start with Sean.
Well, no, nothing to report. All the sort of council meetings, community meetings and flush their motion issues.
Yep. Perfect. Sarah.
I'll wait until post council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Collins.
Got a few little things here that Corinda gave me this financial report for the 12 months, so I have to pass that on. They said they do it each year.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
They're very efficient at Corinda. A few months ago, I mentioned Warrior the Rail and their concern with speeding traffic through the village or through the. They're asking again when they may be on the list to get those speeding machines.
We can have them out there next week.
All right. Next one might have already been acted on. Pigeons at the Cropper Creek Hall. We were there the other day. I just had a few of the locals say that the pigeons have moved in one section of the hall, and we could hear them tap dancing there during our meeting the other day. Quite a few up there. Apparently, we've fixed up half of it and we're in progress of fixing the other bit. North Star shop overnight, I think I brought that up a little while ago. Apparently there's still a few trucks parking in front of the store at North Star shop, which is creating a concern. They're wondering if we could put signs or something to regulate that.
We issue infringement notices for that, Justin? Give me
There is signage.
Yeah. I don't think there needs to be signage.
On them.
It's just they run their
It's air conditioners.
their air conditioners, and it goes through the house. The bypass. I was asked the other day. I've never really noticed. I walk it a lot with the dogs, but the lines on the bypass, there's no lines or.
Exactly.
There are no-
What lines?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to speak to that. We didn't want to spend $30,000 putting line marking there that was only going to be covered up by the construction seal or the final seal. What's on there at the moment is only a primer. We have stretched it as long as we could, trying to get as much life out of the primer before we threw the coin in for the full seal. It's been a little bit cold to do it now. We're just about to award a seal tender, so I'd expect we'll have a brand new seal and line marking on there before Christmas.
I didn't know if it was our responsibility or.
It certainly is our responsibility, that we just didn't want to do the job twice for no reason.
Something I learned this week, there's we can put an expression of interest in for a strengthening telecommunications against natural disasters fund. We did it for Gravesend. They've got an NBN station there, so if there is an emergency, people in the village can go and get access to Wi-Fi and whatever, which they have been doing with the outages. But Prophet Creek Hall would be interested in us expressing interest for the same thing. And it's open at the moment, but it is going to close soon. They don't. It's called the Strengthening Telecommunications Against Natural Disasters.
I think we've got a couple of them. I think there's even one at the Loon bathroom too.
So NBN's recommendation was they're not meant to promote it, but he said we'd be in for a good chance up there at Prophet Creek.
Okay.
If it's open now and it'll probably close soon. Next one, you might have already got onto it, but the golf club, bowling club, we're getting someone to come and professionally core the greens and the bowling greens. I don't know if the ovals of the Shire require coring or not.
Yes, they do, and we've been struggling to find somebody who can do it.
So he's going to be in town and he'll do it if we wish him to do it, I think. I can't say that for fact, but I've got his number if you wish to.
Yeah, thank you.
He's not related to me in any way. I have no financial interest in the business. But I thought for the sake of the Shire, I'd bring it up because I know you like jogging around the oval a lot, John, and it will help your knees.
Yeah.
You like me to minute?
And the other one I'll do out of recording.
Thanks, Nick. John.
I don't know if we should do this in this one or the outer recording, but it was just the Horton Valley were concerned. Well, they've got an opportunity to build a rather large fire shed.
We are doing that.
Which you're on about.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Thanks. Yeah, no, they just talked to me about it. And, I assumed that it was being in action. They don't have. It was just worried they might lose the funding if they don't get things going.
It's got to be done by May.
Yeah, Colin's working with them to get that sorted.
Righto. That's it.
Thanks, John. Adrian.
Nothing this meeting.
Scotty.
You and I had was the bypass line marking, but Mick stole my thunder.
What was it, mate? Sorry?
The line marking.
All right, you jog up there too, do you?
Yeah, all the time.
Anything else, Scotty?
No, that's it.
Match.
No, I've got something confidential.
Good. Rach.
No, I just want to again commend the council on the wider Willoughby sister council arrangement and youth exchange program. I think it's incredibly beneficial and I hope it definitely continues for another 30 years.
Enjoy your bridge walk.
Yes, it's amazing.
Nice.
And I think the kids got a lot out of that. And there's some of them that were quite fearful, they conquered it and I think it'll do a lot. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing that they get the opportunity to do.
I think it's such, isn't it? Those kids, they seem to grow with it. Like some of the kids that hadn't been on a train or a ferry and I mean, it's their kids coming up benefit as well. Like they came up for the country experience. You can't put an amount of money on what the kids get out of it, I don't think. And the kids were wanting to mix and chat with us all and and well behaved and as Scott said, Tori and Ben do an amazing job.
Yes.
And I know they get paid for it, but they do more than they.
I don't know that our pay rates reflect sharing hotel rooms with 16.
I know that's yes, exactly. Like they do amazing. They go over and above.
They go way beyond us.
And so thank you. It's an honour to. I feel very privileged to have the opportunity to go down as well to visit Willoughby as well. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, now it is recommended that the council resolve into committee of the whole with the press and the public excluded to allow consideration of the listed items as provided for under section 10A 2 of the Local Government Act 1993 on the grounds of the report contains personal matters concerning particular individuals other than councillors. So 7.1 is.
Someone moved that.
Oh, sorry. Could someone move that we're going into that, Scott? And seconded those that favor say aye. Thank you.
And I just need to read you the recommendations from the Counselling Committee. Item 7.1 was the Confidential Executive Services Report. Recommendations that the report be received. Item 7.2, Bingo Riverside Caravan Park, transition towards holiday park model. Officer recommendation that council recommendation from Committee of Council that council obtain a second valuation for the two sites. The council approves the purchase of two currently available cabins at Riverside Caravan Park of up to $20,000 each. Further, that council endorses a long-term strategy of acquiring cabins and caravans from permanent residents as they become available to support the transition towards a family holiday park model. That's it from Counselling Committee.
And being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 4:30 p.m.